bear with me. I know I don't have the cool camera lens. I know I don't have the cool camera lens that makes me look more like the Momo. Do you remember the Momo that would pop up on children's phones in 2016, 2015, 2014? The Momo, look it up. Momo, it's creepy. It looks like a weird human doll. That's what I look like with this right now, but I'm not Momo. I'm Casey Francis O'Brien, and welcome to the outside. I'm in a hidden location on top of a mountain. I stayed the night here, and I slept all day, and I will continue to be here until my feet heal from the gangrene. Would you like to see the rash on my feet? Well, I'm not going to show you, you fucking bitch. I could feel you trying to scroll away. But just know it really hurts, and I had to walk how many miles? Many miles. I tried to rest at the Walmart to get away from the homeless people. The guy with the bear cat showed up. Then the evil janitor after I was arrested. And I went to court. And I put my camera up so they could see the outside behind me. My nutsack is caught on a branch sticking up out of the ground, and it very hurts. That felt like a Pierce the Veil song. That felt like emo screamo. That's what's going on with emo screamos, is that their nuts are being torn away by the establishment. So we're out here. Let's give you a little bit of update on my experience. So I, as the most powerful empath possibly in the world, just lacking the knowledge to do so, or have been cut off through many psychological rituals to destroy and hinder my progress and growth in a way to try to puppet me like a Sims character for higher or lower or extraterrestrial entities. You can't be this you can't be this cool and not have that. For most of you, if you don't realize when you go outside, your thoughts are not your own. When you suddenly have to twitch and scratch your nose, that's an alien. That's an AI coming out of the 5G, coming out of the ether, and is trying to infiltrate you so that they could puppet you. Butterfly went right to left. Good morning, Butterfly. So me, the reason that I'm targeted so much, other than I'm handsome and I have everything you could ever want in a physical specimen, other than height, is I know how to beat it. I know how to turn your body into a house for positive energy and self-control. I know how to identify, reject, and push back the narratives and all the things that they try to push on you. I was taught for years and years and years. Here's another butterfly right to left. So what they do is they bring in people that I have to kill, and I refuse to kill them, and then so far it seems like they steal my energy, and then they like quadruple down on the attacks. So yesterday I went out to get my headphones. I went across town. I went to the bank to cash my check and get my money back from jail. Remember, I'm in jail. I went to prison for about 5 or 6 times now for a simple assault where I bumped into somebody in the hallway because he refuses to not let me go. It's a simple assault. He's let murderers go. He's let aggressive stalkers that have come back multiple times, and he lets them go. He lets go state police that get in trouble for sexually abusing minors at 444. But he will not let my simple assault go, where I bumped into my neighbor in the hallway because he was lying to the police, because if the police come to your apartment, it immediately violates your lease and you get kicked out. So he would write me love letters. I wouldn't respond, and he would call the police to violate my lease. And him and his crony upstairs who had tried to molest me in psychosis when I was brain damaged and stuck there and didn't have anybody. And he said, yo, I can see you're not having a good time. Let me help you out. I'm a psychic. I've been around the world. I could feel your energy. I could tell from upstairs. Like, I'm in tune with it. And he was in tune with it, but he still tried to rape me. He tried to molest me. He didn't try to rape me. He tried to suck my dick. And I left. But he also did a bunch of rituals. They do rituals to steal your electromagnetic energy, your spiritual force. They try to seduce you with empathy. And then once you think that you have a friend, they will find a way. They have many tools that they use to break your heart and destroy you and leave you lifeless and empty. And then they try to become you. But that's just what it is when you're the most powerful soul on earth, is that they force you so far down that you're here fighting and fighting and fighting. So what it feels like for me is that all the people that came up to me, now I have more knowledge, right? It's a golden spiral. As I'm ascending, I'm getting more knowledge. They're doing what's called the evil eye. They're giving me the evil eye. So I can see them all kind of like they've latched onto my energy channels, and they're kind of like bitten like a dog bites on your arm. And he hangs there, and a pit bull won't let go. They're like that, and they're trying to get closer and closer to me. They're trying to eat all my tentacles. They're trying to eat all my energy. They're trying to eat all my codes. And it's tons of different people. Plus, so they have that, which are distractions and which are programming to try to convert and change my belief systems and my energy to that. Then that's how they try to get in, and they'll try to convince you that your thoughts aren't your own. They'll try to take away your personal sense of sovereignty and your critical thinking so that you become just a mindless puppet. And you get it back with fasting, sunlight, probiotics, rest, excessive time under stress, like sprinting up a mountain, sprinting up a large hill like the Rocky movie. Pushing yourself to do discipline, pushing yourself to do things that you don't want to do. Like, that's why I love that my feet are destroyed right now. You heard? You heard? You got big eats? What? Oh yeah, you heard? You about to have a good time. That's how they talk. Yeah, my feet are destroyed, bro. Because when I walk, it's triggering my discipline. I like having my feet like this because when I put my feet down on the ground and put pressure on it, it activates the I don't want to do it, which triggers the I have to do it. And then I walk. I think I walked about 2 miles up a mountain to get here. And the birds are here. But at the bottom of the mountain, I can still feel all the people that ate and ripped out my energy cords when they were walking around me, twitching and doing this and trying to take away all my energy and my electromagnetic emotion that I had just cultivated through fighting through decades. Like, I could go back to 2013 and I'm fighting. It was just the fight was different. In 2013, I was fighting to tune out my abusive family. Not violently abusive, but emotionally abusive family. Mentally abusive, psychologically abusive family. To make friends on the internet because there was nobody around me. So I had to get good at video games. And then I pushed through and I pushed through and I pushed through and I pushed through. And then I got a nuclear in free-for-all, which means you kill 30 people. There's 30 people in the game. You're on a map with 30 people. Everybody is against each other. There's no teammates. Everyone's against each other. And you're running around trying to be the first to get 30 points. And to get a nuclear, you have to get 30 kills without dying. And I think I went 29-1. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I got to 29 and then I died. And then the game ended. Because that's God's timing, right? Maybe if I pushed through one more day, it got closer and closer and closer, eventually I'd get it. But 29-1 on free-for-all is insane. So, yeah, 2014, I was fighting to be the best version of myself so I could grow better than the people in my community that were getting more respect and love than me because they were taller and seemingly more talented. 2014, I was fighting to get out of government programs, and my mother would lie to me and say she's coming and never show up, and she'd be right down the street. And then I'd be just around crying children for months and months and months, and I had to get out by cold calling foster homes out of an institution to get out. I had to get out just by persevering, and I learned martial arts. I did push-ups every day. I went to school, and I excelled in school. I had in an institution, like a serious asylum in the classroom, I had them bring in, and I'm only itching my nose because I'm trapped in the Matrix. I had them bring in beans, sprouts, and I had them bring in some type of regular plant, and we did it in nitrogen deficient soil because I wanted to see if the beans, the legumes, could really take the nitrogen out of the air and bring it into the ground. That was important to me. Like, if the dirt actually has a way to take minerals and metals from the atmosphere and bring it back down into the ground so that other plants can get it. So if there's minerals and metals floating in the air right now, like toxic minerals and metals, I don't think nitrogen is a mineral or a metal, but if there's something the ground doesn't have that the trees can take out of the air, or the plants, I want to be able to see that happen where a bean sprout, a legume, a fucking bean can take a chemical out of the air, put it into the ground, and then distribute it to a plant in a soil that doesn't have that chemical. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Are you seeing the cycle, the factory that I'm talking about? How it can take from the air and bring it to the plant that needs it so the plant can grow and produce things? Turns out that that's a whole science, and it's called cover crops, and it took science a long time to figure that out. But I just sat there and thought about it for like 5 minutes, and then I wanted to do it. I also was a math whiz. I would sit in the front, and my roommate, who's named after the Irish god of fire, would sit in the back. And my judge had the same last name after the Irish god of fire, and my family was living in a apartment complex named after the Irish god of fire. So I would sit in the front, and I didn't have any real validation that I was right, so I'd have to ask the math teacher, like, I'd like look at the paper, I'd like study the textbook, if a grade a couple grades above me. I was doing like senior work when I was a freshman, and I'd be like, okay, I see this, I understand this. Is that the right way that's supposed to be? Is that the right way that the system works? Are the rules here correct? And then he would go, yeah, and then I'd do it, and I'd get 100. And my roommate would be so mad. He'd be trying to fight through because he was holding on to an identity. Because he was brutally traumatized as a child, and I was just starting to get into it. I was just starting to get traumatized, so I had an angry spirit still. But he's a Scorpio, and I'm a Sagittarius. So it's funny, my name, I have no water. My name is all fire signs. O'Brien's an earth and air sign, and Casey is a fire sign. Caleb is a fire sign, Hayes is a fire sign, but he's a Scorpio. Alright, what happened next, bitch? 2015 came through. I was still in the program, I was there for a year. Yeah, I must have been there for a year in a place that will destroy all your sense of connection to others. Because you can't touch, you can't talk, you can't overeat, you can't oversleep. You just wake up and they tell you what to do all day, and you have to listen, or else you can't eat a bag of snacks at the end of the day, and you can't see your family. They'll take away your phone calls if you make a joke that they don't like, so you can't talk to your mom. Sometimes they'll just lock you in a room for hours because they feel like it. Sometimes the staff would show up and they wouldn't feel like hanging out with the kids, so they would just keep us locked in. And we just have to sit there with no electronics and nothing but a journal and push-ups. That's all we had. So I'd dig holes. I dug a hole into the girl next door's room and we would trade underwear. And we'd, you know, when we'd sneak out, I was so good at maneuvering the perfect timing to make the staff distracted and unaware that they were unconscious, and then I would touch the girl's butt and they would laugh. Just be like, oh, you're bad in the best way. And then I would write songs. I would steal apples all the time and carry them to room 3, and then one time I bit one and there was a worm and I couldn't tell anybody, and I had these sensory problems because I grew up only eating pizza crust and chips. So there was a worm for the first time in room 3 and I was freaking out and I couldn't tell anyone. And if they found the apple, they would take my mom away. So I had to finish the apple, bro. Yeah, but 2015 I got out and I got into a foster home. And then I got my foster brother out. And then I fought and got a job. I fought and got a girlfriend. One of the hottest girls in the town was my girlfriend. If not the hottest. And then she got fat. And then the relationship went horribly because I didn't understand I had so much residual trauma about abandonment issues because my mother had given me up several times and my father had tried to kill me. And I was in a place with emotionally abusive staff members like the Stanford Prison Experiment for years. So I didn't realize that would translate over to having a horrible time with girls in relationships, because all girls are the same. So that went horribly. "2016, I had like 5 or 6 girlfriends. Yeah, but I could see like an army of malevolent spirits outside my consciousness, where I was just this giant ball of light making music. Now it seems like there's a giant army of negative black sludge souls trying to get at me, and people that stole my energy. Because they stole my energy, it's like I'm fighting myself now in their style. Like they used my energy to make a face, and now the face is just constantly screaming at me. And I could feel their network of energy in Montpelier, where Montpelier was like this big bright ball, or this big like anything could happen. Now I'm feeling all the crackheads and their awful paradigms. Their bad ways of seeing the world and their vibes. I can see the factory of when they walk by people and there's an emotional back and forth with them. And people are judging each other in the ecosystem. That residual energy is now trickling up to me, and I'm starting to feel like I'm the crackhead that gets judged. Which is why it's important I heal my feet. Which is why it's important that I take care of how I look. Because as much as I don't care, now I'm in a world where that, if I want to stay in the Matrix, if I have to stay in the Matrix and I can't control my mind, you can see my face structure has changed again. That's because my mother will do whatever she can to destroy my spirits. My mom is perpetuating the possession and the puppeting. She wants to kill me. She wants to kill my spirit. And tarot readers are picking up on it. I have one that reaches out to me because she can see it like she's watching a movie. And she says she doesn't really watch my videos, but she's an extremely attuned psychic. So she knows when a Lyran comes down and tells her to look this up on Google and to watch this specific short, and then it will show her a whole stream and say, "Can you please just relay this to the kid?" So she'll text me and say, "I just saw it. They just showed me." There's a mosquito, sorry. She basically just talked about she got to see a little bit of all the suffering that I endured. And she explained most of the things I just explained, but at a kind of a simpler level. And she said I sat there and cried for about like 2 or 3 hours. And I just wanted to let you know that this is what they told me. And if it comes again, I'm not going to charge you if I get a message for it. I'm just going to relay the message back to you. But it seems like you have a lot going for you. If it comes up again, I'm just going to reach out to you, or I'm going to make a video to make some money off the video, because other people will assume that it's about them. And it might be about them, because there's so many people out here, right? But basically, it's like to be a handsome man is like to be a Sims character and in an experience that is better. So, like, imagine The Sims, but the Sims have all the senses, and the Sims can feel things, and the Sims have emotion, and the Sims have all these things like life. And imagine you're sitting outside of the Sims, and you can't even control your Sim, and you can't feel what your Sim is feeling. You're just sitting there bored, watching. What they're essentially trying to do is find a way so that those bored people sitting outside watching can open up a doorway into my consciousness and puppet me like the movie Get Out, so that they can feel what it's like and they can be here. And that's why that's what they're sending. That's the whole point of degrading me so much that I can't think and believe in myself and have an identity. That's why when they sent me to jail, they slammed on my fucking knee. They just kept hitting me and hitting me and hitting me, saying, "If you don't take the shot, you're never leaving. We're going to lock you in there forever." And they're hitting me. After they just thrown me down and pepper sprayed me and did all this shit. After they had psychologically tortured me for years. Where every time I had a positive thought, something violent would happen in my surroundings, and they would psychologically torture me from a distance until they physically got me. And they made me get a shot that is cut up. Whatever they said it was a tuberculosis shot. And they said if you had tuberculosis, it'll pop. But I've just had this mark right here for 2 years now. And that was all because my mother texted me. I answered her text, and then she called the police. So I went to jail. And they've put something in me that will ruin my life, that seems to be ruining I haven't been able to meditate. I haven't been able to meditate or feel my pineal gland in years. Which is why I smoke cigarettes. Because if I'm going to be an unconscious husk and they've completely sealed my brain off with something, I'm at least able to that's showing you how powerful I am, bro. I'm literally transmitting down from space in a way where I can't even stay inside my body. I'm looking at you through my eyes. I'm looking at you through my forehead. But I'm not here. It takes a lot of work for me to be more here. And the more I get here, the more violent and horrific this is. And I can because I'm exalted like that, I can see all the different spirits that are trying to sit inside my ear and scream out at the camera. But you won't believe it, but your soul does. You know why? Because I only speak the truth. Which is why I'm dangerous. Which is why they want to stop me. The only thing I can think of, like the only thing that's better than what I'm experiencing, which is like this sick, chaotic world that's being structured by like a demiurge, is that as a 33 life path born on the 11 named Casey Francis O'Brien in a world where there's the Francis O'Brien Water Treatment Center that I end up, and to get there, you had to take a road named after my dad, and then you had to take a road named after my mom, and then you have to take a road named after me, and then you have to take a road named after my foster brother, then you have to take a road named after the channel name that my cousin made when he was 15. He made a channel, and the name of that channel was a road you have to take to get there, and then you get to Frank O'Brien Water Treatment Center, which is named after my great-grandfather that immigrated from Ireland to Bronx, and it's all the way up here in Vermont, owned by the O'Brien family in Burlington, shining town, that I had to go to in my year of the cat when I was in full power, and I had to go there, and there was Jax and Richard and Kelly and Brazy and Meeks and Wells and A2VT and all these hundreds and hundreds of characters that I dealt with in my year of the cat, that I just shined my creative style, and I inspired, and I uplifted, and I lived inside their mind, and I evolved them all. I made Burlington shine right before the year of the dragon, when all the homeless people came in to attack and kill and convert and destroy. The devil sent, there was 80 homeless people when I arrived in Burlington. When I left Burlington, there was about 1,000. 920 people roughly showed up as I was making it as good as I was using my year of the water cat to evolve it so much that 900 people that are addicts and the worst of the worst have showed up, and they're shitting on the street, and they're breaking into places, and they're hurting people emotionally. As soon as Casey grew, they came in, and I wanted to go back, and then my car breaks down on the side of the road. My car tire falls off on my way, and I have to watch the KCC, like my group is the Kingdom of the Creative Champions. I had to watch the Kansas City Chiefs and the Kelly Creative Collective and the Kurt Kaz Conquest and Kai Cenat KC3, C is the third letter, KCC. Kelly Clarkson Cumshot. I had to watch them all. I had to watch them all keep going while I was fighting for my life. And there's just been... So the thing is that maybe I'm the test. Maybe it is all for me. So what I would start to do, I know that any positive action I take, positive thoughts, intentions, and actions, I can't tell you if a cigarette's positive or negative. I guess it would be classified as self-harm, which is a sin. But if it's all to take me away from me, I would just keep working to put myself in a position. But that's what the thing with trauma is, that you become afraid. You become afraid to better your life because they convince you that bettering your life brings about violence because of how many times they violently traumatize you for operating at a certain frequency that would allow for positive thought and change and progress. Once I start to piece it all together in the past, like since a child, but mostly in 2020 because I woke up in 2020 and I realized all my friends were there to hurt me. My friend eventually came clean that he was a Freemason. My 19-year-old friend told me that he sits on Reddit and learned all the Freemasonic doctrine, and he was picking up pieces of my spirit as I was trapped in public housing with a brain injury. He was picking up all the things that I earned, all the ways that I knew how to make women feel, all the flirtatious stuff that I knew, all the charismatic things that I created as a 33 life path born on the 11th. And he said as a Cancer, he would farm me. My best friend said he would farm me, and then he would come over. Somehow he would know, because he's a psychic Freemason. Somehow he would know when my girlfriend was over. Maybe he put a hidden camera. Maybe he would. I don't think they had our Bitmo. We didn't have our Bitmojis on. But he would show up and try to sleep with my girlfriends. They do rituals when you're this powerful of a soul. They do rituals behind your back. And right now, what they're trying to use an entire network of crackheads. They're like at the end of my bubble, trying to latch on and siphon me and control me. And they have decades of hurting people, so they know how to do it. So I'm shifting it all to faith. I'm literally floating up like a giant light phoenix. I'm trying to connect to the stars. It's Cancer season, so there's a bubble. I'm piercing the veil. I'm just saying no to the homeless people. I'm letting them eviscerate to dust like Lego pieces. So I guess I'm destroying their ego. And whether or not you think that's real or I'm just playing pretend in my head, whatever I left that interaction as in my mind, I'll have a response in the environment. Like those homeless people that I destroyed in my mind will show up and try to hurt me again. And they'll be displaying the behavior and vibe that I had set in my mind up here on the mountain. The same way that I can puppet. Maybe I don't know if I could puppet, but I could probably puppet. Content creators. Like Casey Rocket and Kai Cenat, Kurt Kaz, Kendrick Curry. Suddenly, as I'm sitting down watching them and laughing, having a great time when I was sitting in my car in Sub-Zero, freezing and hiding in the back, holding on to my little cold lo mein noodles that I stole from the gas station, and I would keep them as a comfort food while I watched the YouTube videos. All the people that I liked came out as Irish, or I eventually realized that they all had KC in their name. Either it's Casey or Casey. And they were all aspects and representations of behavior that I felt like I lost before the car accident. I lost at the car accident, after, during. And I remember asking God before that happened. I remember asking God, I don't know who I am. Can you please give me myself through others? Can you please teach me who I am by showing me aspects of myself in other people and letting me have the discernment to be able to recognize that that's me. So now I have tons and tons and tons of people. I have tons of skills that I forgot and then relearned through the internet, watching people with my name show the world me. As I was hiding in the back, the law of duality, I was homeless and starving and freezing in the back of a Dodge Magnum on top of a mountain in Vermont, watching people across the globe named Casey express my energy that I felt like I lost. It was like I was all over the planet at once, living and operating inside all these people when I slept. I was pumping out vibes to them, probably. And then when I stop watching them, their content dies and nobody watches them anymore. Maybe because I'm the embodiment of a generation. Don't you see me talking like Andrew Tate? The Sagittarius Aquarius 33 life path born on the 11th would be the voice of a generation. It would be the emotional state of a generation. It would be the informational state of the generation. It would be the consciousness of a generation. Two generations. The Sagittarius Pluto and the Aquarius Pluto. And to be a Taurus rising, they said you have to have led an army, and you had to be very good in battle to be a Taurus rising. Like the skills that you develop as a Taurus rising is only manufactured, like to have that consciousness come into your system and to be able to house it correctly, the way that people that you have to when you're To be born and have the astrological energy of that, you have to have known how, your soul has to know how to use it in a past life. It's not a foreign thing. It's like putting on an old crown. So to be a Taurus rising, you had to win battles. You had to win wars. You had to be like a war chief or a general or a samurai. Taurus rising. Being a Taurus sun is different. But a Taurus rising is the perception of your senses. Scorpio risings, I don't know, there's a lot of good videos on it. There are people that have spent years and years of their life talking to thousands and thousands of people, developing their emotional intuition and abilities to be able to recognize it and see the patterns and all this, and they come out and talk about it on YouTube. They trickle down through tons and tons of different creators. Those are called ascended masters, and that's technically what I am. So if I'm exalted, like my last name means, and ordained up in space, transmitting down, I would be an ascended master. And the point of an ascended master is to fall and then perfect the rise. You'd have to understand perseverance through anything. To be able to rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall again and again and again. There's another butterfly going right to left. And I suddenly have to shit. But I'm also smoking a cigarette. So we're going to take a Duke. Where's my dude wipes? Life is a battlefield, and it'll drag you right through hell. Bites like a rattlesnake, kind that you just don't see on the trail. I don't want it to get flagged. I don't want to say or do things that get my videos flagged. I think I need 500 subs. If this has given you any good emotions or kind of made you feel less alone, or you'd just like to see me on an e-bike, Cash App, PayPal in my description. But life isn't all about monetary gains. We're just in the year of karma. We're in a year where you get good karma instantly. The karma factory is on point this year. The karmic year of 8, and I'm a 33 life path. So everything I'm doing, all the things that I'm teaching people, all the positive emotions I'm giving them, if I am giving people positive emotions, that's coming back to me exponentially. And that's not why I do it. I do it because it gives me a sense of purpose in a chaotic world where I'm recognizing that I wasn't freaking out. It was a literal attack. I realize I don't have general anxiety disorder. I have little to no anxiety. And I have lots of trauma that makes me reminded. Okay, what is it? It said, I naturally emanate a bubble of joy and no fear and competence. Like, I'm not really afraid of anything. Except I've been conditioned to allow myself to forget that those negative energies can come at me. So like when I'm standing here, I'm not afraid. See, I'm trying to activate, and then the matrix bubble is hitting me, causing me to do this. I'm not afraid that there are aliens all around us, and that there's sleep paralysis demons, and that there's Wendigo, and that there's a god of the wild, and I'm in a whatever. conditioned to forget my sense of control. And then when that happens, it's almost like my hamster feeder they put LSD in my hamster feeder. If that makes sense, like I'm in a cage and the water from the hamster trickle, they put drugs in it. And then they try to experiment on me. That's what it feels like. And again, this channel was just a plea that maybe there's someone else out there that's real, that might know a rich man. You got 10 minutes. I don't want to go into public because I'm tired of less evolved souls that have skills to ruin higher evolved souls targeting me, and they have, like, the homeless people have nothing to do all day other than drink and sit around making life worse for everybody else. Which is all they do, by the way. They just create problems and then over-exaggerate the problems and then spew those problems at other people. Kind of the way that I'm doing, except I have real problems. I'm just a kid that's trying to make music, and every time he gets close to making his perfection, he gets violently traumatized. When I say violently traumatized, I mean violently traumatized. And when they can't violently traumatize me, they go very dramatic and very out of, like, almost like I enhance what they already have. So if they're bad, they get extremely bad, and if they're good, they get extremely good. And then they often get jealous. Like, I really tried to help boost people's creative abilities and give them the space to help them discover themselves and perfect their craft. And they all got extremely jealous of me. They got hostile. And I'm just sitting there at my house. And all of a sudden they would be using their energy to come at me. They would be, I think they woke up to the unfathomable truth and knowledge and wisdom that I have because I allowed them in. And then they couldn't handle it and they broke. And they got envious and jealous that I was still going. So they switched to attack mode. Or they're not even real and they're just lizard people, and I'm in a constantly changing holographic simulation where we might not be the same people that interacted the other day. I might not be the same Casey that posted yesterday. You might not be the same person that watched yesterday. It's a holographic simulation. Who knows how good the computing power is, that maybe there's tons and tons of me, and my soul is represented through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different multiverse Caseys, and the general consensus of my soul's evolution is based off of the probability of all those souls computing, Bitcoin mining, through this giant game where you collect information. And maybe because I know all this stuff, it would be really easy to put the pieces together and just flip a switch, and then the whole thing crashes for everybody. As an ascended master. So maybe they're keeping me on lock. They're keeping me on lockdown. But yeah, you see all these mosquitoes? If China and the US can put the little tiny chip in somebody's cells, they can put computer chips in your cells. In the cells of your skin, they can put a computer chip. They can put a computer chip monitored by artificial intelligence in your cells. Who's to say they can't make mosquitoes? Who's to say that a higher form of intelligence isn't using these microscopic cells that are floating around us and we can't even see them, and they operate as cameras? And it's all a TV show for them now. An experiment. And all I ever wanted to do was be good at freestyling so that I could be the best version of myself and have the right energy so that the people that I hurt in the past that I realized ain't worth shit would finally like me, just like the Keyhoes when they broke up with me, and just like when my mommy gave me up and my grandparents stopped messaging me and because my mom lied to them. My mother ostracized me from my own family because she was upset that they might like me. So now my grandparents have been living inside of a story that my mom made up. And they won't see me as human, and they won't have a conversation with me. Because she lied to them. She made them believe I was a schizophrenic. I've never been diagnosed with schizophrenia in my fucking life. And I've been hospitalized several times. What she's doing as a fat cunt, a fat bitch, a loser in public housing, is that she'll extend herself into my life. She'll try to reach out to my friends. She'll try to reach out to police in my city. And she's trying to get them to ostracize and hurt me. She will lie to them. Try to convince them of something, like the serpent in their ear. Because she wants me to get violent so that she can be right. It's a sick game. My mother has also tried to compare me to the serial killer that would fuck his mother, Norman Bates. That's what I'm dealing with. I'm so happy. I wish I had gone into government custody earlier. And I hope I get to see her. I hope I get to be there when she has the heart attack, and I'll just sit there and watch. And then when she's expecting me to help her and be there for her, I'll say what she used to say when she would tell me she's coming to take me out of that institution that would psychologically abuse me. And then she would never show up. So I'd sit there staring out the little crack in the window, hoping that she shows up for 6 to 8 hours, and then she never would. And then I'd just go to bed. Wouldn't cry, because what's the use in crying? When she's dying of a heart attack in the zombie apocalypse, I would say, I'll be right back. 10 seconds max. And then I'll take off running and never come back. Because they liked watching me suffer. They have no accountability for their actions. They have no empathy. And they got off on watching me struggle and suffer. If there was anybody in my life I felt deserved violence, it would be that crackhead that I talked to yesterday. And my mother. If God allows me, if he opens up the floodgates and he gets me $1 million and I really feel like I'm supposed to and it's not karma, like it'd have to be a solid thing. Because I could kill hundreds of people right now. I'd be an insanely good serial killer if I didn't have such a good moral compass. Especially in Vermont, where you can just knock someone in, you can shoot a little. It's not hard to make a poison blow dart. And then sit in a tree, sit here and perfect it for like 3 days just to get it from here to that tree. Put a string on it so you can yank it back. And then blow dart somebody going to their car in the winter. And then yank it back. During a snowstorm. And make the poison slow acting so that it happens while he's in the car and he thinks it's a mosquito bite or something. So yeah, I'm just trying. I have to fight back an entire network of crackheads suddenly. I came here to make a difference, and now I'm mad that there's a bunch of crackheads spiritually targeting me, and they'll follow me through town. But I'm losing track of myself. I'm losing track of my vibes, my manifestations. I don't know what to do or where to go. Every time I go to get a job, they tell me not to get it. Like the tarot readers, I get a notification that says, now is not the time to work. Now is the time to prepare for the end of the world. And I can't think. I can't create. I can barely create anymore. That's what they've done to me. That's what they've done to me. Is that they've turned me into this. I used to be able to just go downtown and find the prettiest girl and then have a beautiful and amazing and meaningful relationship together because I had a mind that worked. And now it's like I can barely get to